Alright, I'm going to be talking about the cathedral at Strasbourg, the Notre Dame. It's dedicated to the Virgin Mary. The original site was from 12 BC, a small bridge in the Roman Empire. In the mid-6th century, there was a church built on the site by Carolingians. There's an altar, a crypt, and it was built under Charlemagne. The church began small, and it did burn down, the original. The site was later used to build a early Gothic church that started out under the guidance of Catholic Bishop Werner von Hasburg. Large arches, strong foundations were built, and in the 11th and 12th century they continued building in early Gothic forms, making a choir section and a cross-shaped worship area. They continued to rebuild on the form until 1262, which is really interesting. In this town there was a revolution. There was a battle of Habsburg between the citizens of Strasbourg and the bishops. The bishops did maintain control from 362 until 1262, and they lost to the local citizens, German-speaking bourgeoisie, merchant class. People began councils and guilds to run their city, and they decided to build even better with architects that are unknown, master architects. They began rebuilding on top of the pink sandstone that they retrieved from the Vosage Mountains, 25 miles from town. They used a treadmill crane, lime-based mortar and sand to secure the pink sandstones. The High Gothic, unknown master, did some building of triforium and vaults. Some of the early facades of the church were also built by the same. The grand project began after the bourgeoisie took over and decided that they wanted it to be a masterpiece of their culture. They hired local Erwin von Steinbach to begin designing and building sculptures and facade artistry. By 1365, Steinbach, his son, and grandson had all contributed to the artistry of the church. They designed 2 grand towers, yet to be completed. The spire would eventually be 466 feet tall. It could be seen from the local forests in the distance and from the mountains in the distance, some 50 miles away. The building was under some mortar shell fire in the 1870s and did undergo a little bit of restoration during World War II, after World War II. But it remains mostly intact today. The final tower began by Ulrich Insiggen and completed by Johannes Jolz in 1439. This is a chart of the church in the different contributions, different time periods. As you can see, it is a conglomeration of time periods. The tower was not the tallest in the world when it was completed, because St. Mary's of Stralsund, Germany, was 95 feet tall, and this church, Strasbourg, was 466. But St. Mary's did burn down sometime later in 1647, struck by lightning, and the Strasbourg spire was the tallest building in the world until 1874, for 227 years. The church today may be seen, here's the battle, there's very few depictions of that battle, but the church today may be seen as is it a projection of the collective subconscious? And I'm not sure, but I can tell what it meant to each time period. In some ways, they differ. The Carolingians would have seen it as a uniting cultural element. The feudal bishops may have seen it as a rule of hierarchy, mirroring the hierarchy of biblical figures like angels. The bourgeoisie, Gothic merchant councils, may have seen it as a form of civic pride, and in some ways a form of freedom and individualism. The Renaissance humanists, would have seen it differently in their time period as a form of individualism or the subconscious creation of the mind, or some form of philosophical. The Reformation would see this as a cultural piece to study, to research the meaning and the structures and the human psyche. The Romantic period would have given way to more myth and our interconnectedness, even despite current culture today in the data-driven science may find some disconnects. The practice today, as you can see in the video, is pretty cool. They have an awesome light show every summer. So this turns into a sort of civic center locally, an experience to have the music playing, the lights. So this church has had a substantial amount of meaning. It has stood the test of time. It's been seen as one of the great Gothic period structures. As you can see, it has had countless people working on it through time. There's been battles over the city. It's been just a simple bridge in its earliest form. And today it is a cultural experience. 38 euros to get in. There are way too many pieces of art in this church to go through. 96 images alone on Wikipedia, and there could probably be 1,000 images of this church and its imagery. It is at the furthest point east in France today. It was not a part of France back then, but it is today. It's been contested back and forth through time, and it looks like quite a gorgeous church to this day. And it tells you a lot about it. Completed in the 15th century, 650 years later, it's still artistic mastery and beauty to behold. And I had fun researching it.